I think, generally speaking, guitars have really been a good investment to sink your money into. And if you look at the long term, I used to sell precious metals way back when in another life. And we always used to tell people, when you buy something, you sit on it 5 years. That's an investment. What's happened over the course of the last 3, 4 years is that stuff just skyrocketed. Over the course of 3 years, it literally tripled. It went from going up about gently 10% a year to tripling overnight. I think it bloomed a little bit. Certain things, certain solid bodies are probably going to come back a little bit. At the same time, I have trouble keeping things in stock.
Well, we're finding that the stuff that we do, like limited editions of, or just like good playable guitars, are still going very well. Anything vintage, it seems like people are hesitant to buy anything because the values are fluctuating a lot right now. And just like anything else, the housing market, the stock market, there's going to be ups and downs. And I think if you bought a vintage guitar in the last 2 years, I think you're going to have to sit on it a little while before you'll get your money back out of it, just because everything is down and it's not good to sell on a down market. I mean, my advice to anybody who has an old guitar is to keep it right now and to not panic about it, because we've had ups and downs before. Stratmania in '88, you know, that was the absolute peak, and I bought Strats at their absolute peak, and people were telling me I was crazy, you'll never see your money out of it. And, you know, within 4 or 5 years, I mean, they're double that.
It's definitely slower. You got to be willing to meet the expectations of the people that come in. People that come in, they want top dollar for their trades. That's where we come in. We're able to do that, but we can't buy stuff for top dollar, of course, and I'm not sure that everybody understands that. If someone wants to come in and sell you an American Strat for $650, well, that's what we sell them for. I'm not a pawn shop, Right. We need to wholesale purchase, but if we would allow them $650 trade on any of it, so we try and work that angle with our booth. Vintage market definitely down, but I think it's in the process of correcting itself. I don't have the answers, and I think it'll take a couple of years for it to truly correct itself, because a lot of the dealers, including ourselves, are unable to come down off of the price that we need to get out of it because of what we were crazy enough to pay for it a year ago or 2 years ago, when it was, when a Sunburst Strat was 25 grand. We were all scrambling to get them. Well, now we all got them, and the few people that actually wanted to buy them for 25 grand bought one. So now all the dealers are stuck with them, and they won't come off their price because they probably got $22,000 in the thing or something.
We're still doing good business. The business we do with musicians and collectors that play and really enjoy the instrument, that's pretty stable because they've watched this, they've been doing it for a long time. Where there's a real flux in the market is for the guy that came in a couple of years ago, had a friend that maybe played guitar or something, and he says, you know what, you should invest in this instrument because it's going to hold its value, right? Now that same guy just lost a bundle in the stock market, and so that same guy who maybe doesn't play guitar, maybe just bought the guitar as an investment, now, just for the good of his family, he's having to turn around and, put that $50,000 Stratocaster on the market, that he just bought as an investment. Well, now because so many people are bailing, yeah, the prices are going down, but I really think it's going to even out. I really think this thing is a temporary thing. And
so long term, I think the vintage market is going to be really healthy. Right now, we're starting to see some of the solid bodies not continue to skyrocket. They seem to plateauing off, which I've seen this happen like in 93, in 89, in 99. In 99, in that time period, pre-CBS Strats had hit a ceiling, and a lot of dealers, a lot of well-known dealers were saying that pre-CBS Strats are going to go down. Back then they were about $3,500, now they're about 20 grand. But in 1999, people were saying the market's over. It's dead, it's over.
People ask me, is it the time to buy now? I almost think it's going to get a little worse before it gets better, and you always want to buy stocks, you always want to buy guitars when things are the worst, And you find the right guy who's got guitars that he has to sell to put money on the table or whatever, It could be a good time for that. But I mean, is a vintage market going away? Is the whole market, depressed or whatever? It's hurting, and I think it's going to correct a little bit.
But what you'll see, especially here at this show, I've seen a lot of, you always get at the Texas show, you get all these old cats coming through with their old guitars, and forever they've always walked through like a peacock going, I got this, and I know what it's worth, and I want to show it to you, and you tell me what it's worth. And, for years we'd be like, wow, that's a great guitar. We'd love to buy it. It's a $15,000 guitar. We'll give you $12,000 for it right now. No, it's not for sale. It's not for sale. Well, those guitars have come in this week. Remember when you told me, give me 12 for this week? Did you do that? I'm like, no, I'd give you about 5 now. You should have sold it 2 years ago. You missed the boat.
You know, the burst market is always fussy, and a lot of times on the really high end, you have a handful of players that are controlling the market. The guy that spends $250,000 on a burst doesn't have to go home and ask his wife for permission. He doesn't have to save his money, and he's going to be shopping for another guitar the next day. So there is always been interest in bursts, but if you have something that isn't all correct, there's going to be a big difference between a completely mint and original guitar and one that was refurbished.
They're definitely holding on to them because they're so offended because, like I said, they got the attitude of, I've got a $25,000 guitar because that's what they told me 2 years ago, and they won't let go of that. They will not listen to reason, you know. Nothing against them. I mean, we're here to serve, but I think there's a problem there. And it's like I said, it's on both sides. It's not just the individual, the owner of the guitar, it's also the dealer. The dealers are in the same type of situation where, yeah, we know these guitars are priced probably way more than they should be worth. We got caught up in the market too. We're trying as hard as we can to explain that to each individual that brings us an old guitar.
So the really clean stuff is just going to continue to distance itself from the stuff that has stories. Both guitars will hold level, will hold value, but the really clean original collectibles are going to continue to go up. Well, acoustics, the guitars in the $60,000 range in the acoustic market seem undervalued. Even still, you look at an old Martin Herringbone, new Martin Herringbone, for them to make it out of Brazilian rosewood is $40,000 retail. So its intrinsic value, what it costs to recreate it, is many times in the acoustic market higher than its vintage value. You look at a Stratocaster, a good custom shop Strat is $5,000, where a vintage one is $20,000. In the acoustic market, it's the other way around.
Yeah. No, exactly. And the thing is, we're on a little depression of the market right now, and will it come back 100%? I gotta think so. I mean, I think 10 years from now we'll look back at this and say, man, I wish I'd have bought more stuff then, you know. But you know, who's to say? Who's to say?
Arch tops are picking back up. Good midline 70s stuff is doing really well. Good high quality musical instruments always sell. And there's things that are super rare, like the Stratocaster in blonde that we showed you earlier. That's really hard to find, no matter what time period if the market's going up or down. If you've always wanted one of those, there's a finite number of those available.
It is, and you know, the guitar that I didn't expect to sell because it was so pricey, sold.
How much? What was it?
$14,000. 14,000.
Okay.
And, I sold it to another dealer that you would know if I told you the name, and it was one of the Tom Murphy, Jimmy Page that they did that Gibson did in 2004. It was number 37 out of 150, and I just brought it, said make an offer on it, and we cut a deal, and it sold for 14,000.
A lot of interesting things like, you know, ES-125s. The guys are buying utility things. If they have $2,000-3,000 to spend on a nice musical instrument. Yeah, I think as the whole population ages, I think acoustics are going to look good long term, and arch tops and things that are high quality are going to always hold value. We're into it, you know. We love guitar. We're going to be 80 and still playing guitar.
Well, as my buddy Teddy says, it's the only investment you can rock out on.
You know, because this is an instrument of passion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we many times, you know, when we purchase things, you know, in this room, it's not always the best financial decision. So it's, you know, it's an impulse buy, and we love it. I mean, we all just love to play the guitar, and that's where it all started. So that's the thing. So you can have a guitar, you can have a boat, you can have a motorcycle. You know.
I'll take the guitar.
There you go. I'm with you.
But I mean, I still think in general, I'd rather have my money in guitars than anything else.
Okay, so there you have it. I think it's safe to say everybody's kind of echoing the same thing on some level. I mean, you know what? We've seen this before. History has, you know, a funny way of repeating itself. And guitars are a passionate thing. Don't freak out. Don't worry. Guitars are always going to rock and roll. I'm Brett. We're at the Arlington Guitar Show 2008. You're watching PremierGuitar.com.